What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris. This is my first solo video as a member of the Game Chat channel. Sorry about the audio. I'm not using my normal mic right now. I just had some technical issues I have to worry about. It'll be back for the next video, though. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about the New York Knicks, how they went from dumpster fire to a good playoff team, and a team I think a lot of free agents are going to look at when their contracts are up now. And that's what we are mainly here to talk about, because the past couple off seasons, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were free agents, and then go back a year before that when even LeBron was a free agent. The Knicks were saw as a team that could, okay, maybe they sign one of these guys. They also get Zion Williamson in the draft, and they're a legit team. Well, we know it didn't work that way. They fell to 3 in the lottery, got RJ, who in his rookie year didn't look like he was what people thought he was going to be. He looked like a lot of a chucker, guy who had terrible shot selection, like a lot of rookies do, but a lot of people looked into it too much and gave up on him. Then you got a guy like, their biggest free agent signing was Julius Randle, and Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant decided to go to the Nets instead of the Knicks, the smaller, I would say at the time, New York market for NBA teams. It just didn't look good for them, and a lot of people just wrote them off and was like, all right, well, they're screwed. They're not going to be able to build anything. They're just going to be a dumpster fire the next couple of years, tank in the lottery, and maybe eventually be able to build something through the lottery. Well, Tom Thibodeau came into town and had different thoughts. He is a winning coach. He coached them to win. He helped Randall develop into an all-star. We always saw those little flashes of it, but Thibodeau has helped make him into a legit star. RJ Barrett has looked phenomenal this year. Emmanuel quickly, who I didn't see, like I knew about him, but I didn't see him coming like this. Like I didn't see him coming out here and just balling out for a good couple months, and is still playing excellent basketball. They got Derrick Rose, they picked up Alec Burks, they still have Nerlens Noel, Alfred Payton, Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson's on the roster. You look at this roster and you're like, this is probably not a playoff team. Well, this team has shown a lot of people that it is a playoff team, and most of the teams that are coached by Tom Thibodeau are a playoff team. I believe his first year in Minnesota, where he was with Jimmy Butler, they were like the 8th seed, and he's just a great coach. I think he's my coach of the year candidate, and Julius Randle is my most improved player. He went from, what did he average last year? Like 19 and 9 on terrible efficiencies to like 26 and 11 on good efficiencies. He's shooting that ball. He has a jump shot. Like, it's just so, I'm so happy for Knicks fans. Now I'm going to get to the more important part of this video, is them picking up a big name free agent. Doesn't have to be like a huge name. It just needs to be an all-star caliber player. This offseason, if Julius Randle opts in, they will have around $60 million, give or take. Mitchell Robinson, they'll also have to pick up Mitchell Robinson's option, which I hope they do. I hope they don't just let him walk, which I think they will pick him up, even though he's just been injured a lot. And I feel like they'll have to make a decision on him by the deadline of next year, the trade deadline, of course, if they're going to want to keep him, if they're going to want to move him for a bigger name center or a more win-now center. I know Mitchell Robinson is a phenomenal defender, a very underrated player. I don't know if he's ready to be on a team that's trying to compete for a championship center, or a center for a team that's trying to compete for a championship. Now this brings me to my point. They are a bit low on maybe the point guard position. I don't know if Derrick Rose will resign. He's a good backup, but he's getting old. He has still looked like that MVP Derrick Rose from time to time this year, but he is getting old. I like Emmanuel quickly better as a 2 guard. And they also have a huge hole at the small forward spot. That's where Kawhi Leonard's going to come in, I believe. I think if the Clippers don't do good in this year's playoffs, maybe second round bounce this year, I think Kawhi, again, second round bounce, I think Kawhi could either opt in for one more year, give him one last chance to actually do something, or he's just going to opt out and go sign with a team like the Knicks that could use him, and he would fit tremendously in their system. Tremendously. Him being coached by Tom Thibodeau, we saw what Tom Thibodeau could do with Jimmy Butler. Think about what he could do with a guy like Kawhi Leonard. A bona fide, Jimmy is, but a guy who can give you 30, Jimmy can too, but like what I'm trying to say is, a guy who's won a finals MVP. A guy who's been in the MVP conversation multiple times. And I'm just so happy for these Knicks fans because they went from a team that, well, didn't have anything going for them. A lot of people thought this year would just be another tank. Maybe they'd be a middle of the pack, like 13 or 12 seed to 15 seed in the East. But they've really shown out this year, and RJ Barrett's looking like he is that number 3 pick that they drafted him as. And Julius Randle, we already talked about him. Derrick Rose turned back the clock. Frank Ntilikina's looked good in some aspects. Alec Burks has looked good. I think if they re-sign maybe Alec Burks, they have to bring back Nerlens Noel. He's been tremendous for certain runs. I think the two of the odd men out are going to be Obi Toppin and Kevin Knox. I feel like if a team like the Pacers decides, all right, we're gonna do something we don't really do, and that's maybe blow up this team, maybe hit the little retool button, and they go out and trade Malcolm Brogdon, who's 27, to the Knicks for like Obi Toppin, Kevin Knox. And depending on where the Mavericks or their pick falls in the lottery, or not the lottery, in the draft, that's what they'll give up, the lower of the picks. Maybe like, let's say the Mavericks are like the 18th pick, the Knicks are like the 24th pick or something. They would go ahead and trade Kevin Knox, 24th pick, and Obi Toppin, and maybe throw in a second just to get the deal done. To get Malcolm Brogdon, that's a perfect point guard for Tibbs. Good defender, good playmaker, good all-around player. One of the most underrated, fully set point guards in the NBA. I believe Malcolm Brogdon should have been an all-star this year, personally. Even last year, you could have made a case for him. I mean, I think he averaged, like before the all-star break, he was averaging like 20 and 9. He did fall off a bit last year, down to 16 and 7. But think about what he could do in Tom Thibodeau's system. I just think he would fit perfectly with that team, and that would still leave them around $34 million to go and sign Kawhi Leonard. Sure, the Clippers do have bird rights on Kawhi, and they can go out and sign him when it would go over their cap, but it wouldn't affect their cap. Like, they would still be able to sign him, of course. But I don't know, it's all up to Kawhi. Like, I just think the Knicks are a perfect fit. And I know there's been rumors that he's plans on re-signing with the Clippers, but there's one team he wants to sign with. A lot of people said that's the Heat, but the Heat don't have, if you look at the Heat this offseason, they'll have 37 mil, but they're not just going to let Victor Oladipo walk, I don't think. And that's if that's if Andre Iguodala they opt out of him and they opt out of Goran Dragic. So both those teams are in good situations to maybe pick up Kawhi Leonard. But I think the Knicks are in a better situation long term because even if they strike out on Kawhi this year, the next couple free agencies are going to be even more loaded. I'm not saying they'll go ahead and sign Stephen Curry because that's ridiculous. I think he's a warrior for life. But there's going to be some good guys coming up the next couple years. Bradley Beal will be a free agent 2 off seasons from now, I believe. I can fact check that. I think he is. And then you could just slide RJ over to the 3, which he played out most of his rookie season. Yeah, 2 years from now, there will be a player option for Bradley Beal. He'll most likely opt out. Same with Russell Westbrook. I think Westbrook would opt in because he's almost getting paid $50 million at the age of 34 at that point. But yeah, I think the Knicks are going to go out and sign a big name free agent in the next 2 years or so. And I just think they're in an unbeatable situation because Thibodeau and all these guys have just played so well together. They're an actual team basketball. They have that bona fide guy that can go and give a bucket anywhere inside the paint, or inside the key, I guess you could say. And Julius Randle, they got a sharp shooter in RJ Barrett, who's shooting like 45% this year from 3, or like 44. Derrick Rose, who's just phenomenal still. You got Clampers and Frank Ntilikina. You got Emmanuel Quickly, who's just, I think him and Derrick Rose have just been bonding. And I feel like if Derrick Rose just starts mentoring him a little bit more, Quickly could become a bona fide stud in the next couple years. You got Mitchell Robinson, who sure he's had his injury problems. But then you got Nerlens Noel, who stepped in and played great in his absence. And even if you want, I don't think they would do this. They'd have to probably go and get a really good defensive power forward. But you could even slide Randle over to the 5. I've seen a lot of people saying that they want to see Randle at the 5. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I think it could happen. It could happen. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I just want to say the Knicks are in a very good situation for the next couple years. And yeah, peace out.